whatever nonsense he was talking about. I never understood what it was at the time, but it always happened to me in the same spot. I would be rolling down the track at high speed, and then I'd hit a bump. Or more like a soft, wet thud beneath my wheel. When we got back to the station, the workers would quickly pull us aside and hose us down before anybody saw. This would happen to either me or Henry 3 or 4 times a week on a regular basis. We tried bringing this to the attention of Mr. Topham, but as usual, he didn't want to hear a word from us. He told us to keep quiet and to not tell any of the other locomotives about the wet thuds in the tunnel, or he'd send us to the scrapyard. As time went on, Henry and I began to dread going through the tunnel. We had our suspicions about what those thuds could be, but we never knew for sure until one night. I was loading up passengers for my last ride out of the station that night, when I saw Henry come out of the tunnel with a look on his face like he was about to throw up. I looked closer and saw something stuck to his grill, a baseball hat. Henry was shaking on his rails. Sir Topham was next to him, telling him something I was too far away to hear, but it looked scary. That night, around 3 a.m., Henry woke all of us up to tell us something. He told us that he finally figured out what the source of all those wet thuds in the tunnel were. I didn't want to believe him, but I had to. I knew Henry wouldn't lie, and I knew he wasn't crazy. He had a plan to make sure it would never happen again, but he needed my help to make sure it worked. I promised him I would do it, but I was too scared. That morning, when the time came to do it, I couldn't work up the courage. Henry rolled back into his station, but right before he exited the tunnel, he slammed on the brakes. I was supposed to leave the station and go into the other tunnel so they would both be blocked. That way no trains could go through. But I froze. I couldn't do it. The way Henry looked at me then, I'll never get it out of my head. I knew he would never forgive me for betraying him. A moment later, Sir Topham stormed up to Henry and started screaming at him.